What's up, guys? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of our videos. Also, make sure you follow us all over social media so you don't miss any of our content or show announcements. Last season in review for Kawhi played in just 37 games. He basically sat out until January, and then for the first month kind of slowly ramped up, and then more or less played like normal through the end of the season. And it looked like there was a stretch there where the Clippers lost a couple back-to-back games to the Lakers, and like it looked like Kawhi just didn't have that explosiveness. And I remember talking about it on the show, like Kawhi just doesn't look physically like himself. And then all of a sudden, there was a runway there right before the end of the season where you're like, holy shit, like Kawhi's starting to look a little bit like Kawhi. And it was like, are we heading for another one of those environments where he just suddenly in a playoff series looks like he might be the best player in the world? But the bad news is that even though the plan worked and they got him to the finish line and he was able to finish the playoff run, the albeit short playoff run, without getting hurt, it was also the first year that I can remember where a healthy Kawhi didn't feel like the indomitable force that he was in previous years. When Kawhi was healthy in 2020 and in 2021 and in 2023, before he got hurt in the last two playoff runs and before he got eliminated in 2020, he was that classic robot Kawhi with the scoring and efficiency. His numbers in those three playoff runs are kind of insane. 30 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 63.4% true shooting. That's like off the charts good. And all of us remember what it was like watching him in those games. He looked like he was every bit as good as the very best players in the world when that was happening. That was the upside that we were all clinging to when we would discuss the Clippers. If Kawhi can stay healthy, he can be the best player in a playoff run potentially. For the handful of games in, 2023, he would look better than KD in those games before he got hurt. That Clippers team looked destined for a finals run in 2021 before he got hurt. But that upside just didn't materialize this year. We got one game. Game 2 was wild. Vintage Kawhi. 15 for 19 from the field. 4 for 7 from 3, 39 points, walked down the Nuggets with 2 ice-cold jumpers in the final 2.5 minutes. It felt like those other playoff runs. But outside of Game 2 against Denver, he was never able to bring that true superstar force to bear. Game 1, 9 for 15 from the field, which is obviously efficient, but he had just 22 points and he had 7 turnovers with only 2 assists. It was a bad game for Kawhi. Game 3, 7 for 17. Game 4, 10 for 22, 24 points, 2 assists. That's a mediocre superstar game, a bad superstar game. Game 5, 8 for 15 from the field, 20 points, 11 assists. A fine game, but nothing special. Game 6, 27, 10, and 5 on 11 for 22. That's a really good game, but that's not like robot superhero Kawhi. Game 7, elimination, everything on the line. 6 for 13, 22 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. And there's context there. Like Denver brought a lot of double teams against Kawhi in that series. But at the same time, Kawhi did a really poor job of managing and solving those double teams. So even though the shooting percentages, as you zoomed out from the series, he was still 50-40. Like the shooting percentages look fine. But if you take out Game 2, he was actually pretty mediocre in that series. And his scoring volume wasn't good at all. So the bottom line is, in years past, it felt like a healthy Kawhi was as good as the best player is in the league. But this year, Kawhi went into the playoffs healthy and he didn't come close to that level. And that was really sad for me as a basketball fan. One of the things it felt like as we were watching it was like, oh man, like, is this the end of Kawhi's prime? Like, Kawhi, for me as a basketball fan, I actually really like watching Kawhi. There's a lot of, like when I play in the post, a lot of the post work that I do, I've tried to mimic Kawhi in terms of physical post-up play and using your shoulders to get separation. Like Kawhi's a player that I've always been drawn to. And it feels like we got robbed of his prime. And now it just feels like we're on the other side, and that really sucks. Let's take a look at the season real quick. Let's go through some of his numbers. 37 games played. He had 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists, 2.1 stocks per game, 1.6 steals, which actually ranked 17th in the NBA. His percentages, he was just below 50% from the field. That was his first time below 50% since 2020. 41% from 3 on 5 attempts per game, shot the ball well there. 81% from the line, but only 3 attempts per game. And this is perhaps the most concerning stat as it pertains to Kawhi's declining athleticism. Kawhi is not a grifter. He doesn't get to the line by doing janky shit. He gets to the line as a supreme athlete that gets defenders out of position. But if you look back, his last full healthy season in San Antonio, his season in Toronto where he won the title, his season with the Clippers in 2020, in those seasons, he posted over 7 free throw attempts per game in each of those 3 seasons. This year, just 3, so less than half what he was at his peak. He's just not getting defenders out of position the way that he used to. 56% in effective field goal percentage, which is fine, but it's not Kawhi. 59% true shooting, which is fine. It's not Kawhi. It's his lowest since 2020. Play type data, this is where you can really see the drop off. Down across the board. He was below a point per possession in pick and roll. The year before, he was at 1.04, which was 69th percentile. So he dropped substantially year over year as a pick and roll player. He was below a point per possession in ISO this year. The year before, he was one of the best ISO players in the league, 1.25 points per ISO, including passes, which was in the 96th percentile. This year in the post, 1.07 points per possession, which is slightly above average. But 1 year prior, 1.14, 7 points better per 100 possessions. A massive year-over-year dip in his play type, in his shot creation out of various play types. So, I mean, the reason why Kawhi's dropped all the way to 13 on this list is simply that the equation has changed. It used to be that, like, if you could somehow navigate the season and get to the finish line with a healthy Kawhi, you got to have a top-tier superstar at that point, and he had the potential to outplay the best players in the league. He gave you that crazy upside, right? That, like, maybe they can win the title upside. But now it feels like if you get through a season with a healthy Kawhi, you get a second-tier superstar. A guy that on any one night, like in game 2, can reach that level and outplay the best players in the world, but a guy who on most nights is probably going to be a level below that. So that's how he lands at number 13 this year. All right, guys, that's all I have for today. As always, I sincerely appreciate you guys for supporting us and supporting the show. We'll be back on a Wednesday with number 12 and number 11. I will see you guys then.